Has the Maldives become a Chinese stooge? Well, I think so. The irresponsible comments on the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi by three youngish members of the ruling elite, after all, are only a trailer of a much bigger story. They reflect a culture of hate behavior that has been sponsored by their most senior leaders. They are on the edge of an anti-Indian policy and attitude which is infused with an irrational sentiment that threatens to destabilize the region and make the Maldives a playground not only of China but of the most radical anti-Indian forces in Pakistan. The parties of Pakistan who foment and sponsor terrorism against India. To mark a significant departure from all his predecessors and to signal an anti-India foreign policy, the country's President Mohamed Muizzu has decided to break an age-old diplomatic tradition and visit China first before visiting India. Muizzu will be watching this show from China. In fact, he landed there earlier today along with his entourage. And accompanying Muizzu is the First Lady, Sajida Mohammed, senior government officials and a group of journalists. They will be in China until the 12th of January. That's a 5-day-long visit. And what explains this break from tradition is the question. The Chinese checkbook or Muizzu's immaturity? Well, I would vote for the latter. Why else, after all, will Muizzu give preference to China over India? Why else will he give preference to those who are irresponsible over those who understand the Maldives and the culture and the sovereignty of the Maldives? Every single leader since former President Maumoon Abdul Gayoom has come to India first. India, after all, is the Maldives' closest neighbor. And I'm not just talking geographically. The two countries are connected historically and culturally as well. And the people of the Maldives know this. Earlier today, Maldives' former defense minister, Maria Didi, spoke to WION, and she pointed out how there is so much in common between the two sides, from food, language, to the way we look. She mentioned that when people in the Maldives fall sick, they come to India for treatment. When parents in the Maldives can afford to send their children to good schools and colleges, they are sent to India. Didi, by the way, also studied in India. How many study in China? China only inaugurated its embassy in the Maldives in the year 2011. This was after the Maldives graduated from the least developed country or LDC status. The Maldives needed money, you see, and China needed land to grab. And so Beijing opened its checkbook to Mali with the hope to buy commercial influence over the Maldives. Does Mohamed Muizzu not understand this simple equation? I'm sure he does. Yet, he chooses to be a Chinese stooge, knowing fully well that it is not the Maldives' development that China is actually interested in, but its strategic location. The Indian Ocean, you see, is central to China's MSR or Maritime Silk Route project, and the Maldives sits in the Indian Ocean. It straddles one of the world's busiest east-west shipping lanes. Maldives' location and economic situation is perfect for the Chinese debt trap. Hence, the Sinmali Bridge, so that the Maldives can cross over to Chinese grip. Hence, the housing projects, so that China can make itself feel like home in the Maldives. Hence, upgrades to the Villana International Airport and the renovation of the building housing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that China can use its economic coercion to advance its strategic goals and slowly debt trap the Maldives. Hasn't the Maldives learned from Sri Lanka? The island country has had to lease its Hambantota port to the Chinese for 99 years. Tonight, we will also be telling Muizzu the story of the Chinese land grab in Bhutan, and he should listen in closely. He needs to think like a matured leader, not like a Chinese stooge. Ever since Muizzu has come to power, he has engaged himself in one diplomatic disaster over another. First, he requested India to withdraw 77 India military personnel from the Maldives. Maria Didi told us that the decision is already hurting the Maldivian interest, by the way. Indian choppers would help in relief and rescue operations in the Maldives. A boy reportedly went missing and he could not be found there because Malé did not have the resources and China never comes in to help. In December, Muizzu's government decided to terminate a hydrography agreement that the Maldives signed with India in 2019. What was the explanation? Nothing, except the need to please the Chinese bosses. While Muizzu chose Turkey, followed by the UAE for his first official foreign visit and not India, Muizzu ensured that his vice president, Hussein Mohammad Latif, was in China for his official international visit. This was last month. Latif attended the China-sponsored China-Indian Ocean Region Forum on Development Cooperation in Kunming. He also offered his 2 cents. Latif said cooperation in the Indian Ocean must include all countries of the region. That's where the Maldives and its immature new government actually gets things wrong. You see, geopolitics is not about inclusivity. It is about reliable partnership. And the dragon is not one. But this is the Chinese script that the Maldives leaders are reading. I want to point your attention to a Global Times article. The Chinese mouthpiece is lecturing India, asking New Delhi to be open-minded towards China-Maldives cooperation. Let me just read out a couple of lines from this outrageous argument. Muizzu's decision to visit China before India does not necessarily mean that he is pro-China and anti-India. From the Maldives' perspective, it values its cooperative relationship with China more, especially in the field of economic development. China has always treated the Maldives as an equal partner and respected its sovereignty. New Delhi should stay more open-minded as China's cooperation with the South Asian countries is not a zero-sum game, quote-unquote. This is more than a zero-sum game. This is a road to disaster. I have a question for Muizzu. Is China interested in capacity building in the Maldives? Because that is what India has been doing. New Delhi offers several scholarships to Maldivian students. ICCR scholarships, ITEC training and scholarships, medical scholarships, just to name a few. India trains Maldives' future doctors, engineers, even journalists. 25% of the senior teachers in the Maldives are Indians. 25% of doctors are Indians. India has restored mosques in the Maldives. Friday Mosque and Dharumvanta Rasigi Fanum Mosque in Malé. After the 2004 tsunami, India was the first country to rush relief and aid to the Maldives. Being a friend of India has benefited the Maldives in so many ways. And being a Chinese stooge is only opening up the archipelago to a diplomatic disaster. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.